Alright, welcome back. I have it all set up here. I did a review of the GT 1030 that I put in here last video. Just a quick unboxing. You can watch that right there if you want to. So everything is set up and good to go. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be trying to put Windows 10 on it and get Steam installed and some games installed. So I'm going to try and get to work and get to debugging. And yeah, we'll see what we can do. Okay, so I have the machine booted up, and what I'm doing is getting Windows installed. But first I'm in the BIOS, and this might be one of the oldest BIOSes I have ever had to work in. So what we have here is the BIOS is showing that our Core 2 Quad Q6600 is showing up. 2.4 gigahertz is right. I did not do the electric tape method on this build. I'll probably be doing that later. I just wanted to make sure everything is showing up first for now. We can see the bus speed is at 1066 megahertz, 8 megs of cache. All that checks out. Memory info, we do have, I put in 8 gigs of RAM, 4 DIMMs of 2 gigs each, unbuffered. This is DDR2. So that all checks out, 800 megahertz, so everything looks correct. Interestingly, the date was December 22nd, 2018, at 9:56. I'm filming this December 25th, 2020 at 8:43, so it is off by about 2 years. Boot sequence, we're going to be booting from the USB device, and so yeah, none of this other stuff looks like it's going to be needed for the rest of this, but it is just kind of cool to see a BIOS this old. So yeah, back before we had the pretty ones with the mouse support that we have now, because with this one there is actually no mouse support at all. You have to use the system keys, so that's interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna get Windows installed, get some games put on there, and we'll test this thing out. Well, that's bad. Okay, so we've run into a little bit of a problem. This computer, for whatever reason, is not booting from a USB. I have tried everything. I've got multiple USB drives. I tried Windows. So when I tried to boot from a Windows USB, it just, it would go into a boot loop where it would flash the Windows logo, Windows 10 logo, and then it would just bring me back to the BIOS. So what I thought was maybe it's because it's a USB 3.0 drive. I don't see why that would matter, but maybe it's the motherboard's screaming at a USB 3.0 thumb drive. So I used this older one, and I tried Windows, same thing. Once in a while it would blue screen, but mostly it would just send me back to the BIOS after flashing the logo. And then I tried Mint, Linux Mint. I tried a Linux distribution, and it was pretty much the same thing. It would be stuck on the logo for a little while, and then it would just bring me back to the BIOS. So this machine, for whatever reason, is not booting OSs from a USB stick. Maybe it's a BIOS issue. I tried resetting the BIOS. I tried all that. It's not working. So what I did, my workaround, was I took the SSD out of there. So what I'm doing is I'm getting a different computer. The computer that I made in the engineering PC video that we did a while back, I got that one out, and I'm plugging the SSD in there. So what I'm going to do is load up Windows onto the SSD from that computer, put the SSD back in here, and see if we can get into Windows after it's already installed on the SSD. So hopefully that'll work, but we'll see. Alright, so it worked fine. Windows installed like normal. It was very clean, very quick. Everything worked out. So it just must be the machine did not want to boot from a USB. So now the real moment of truth is going to be if I plug this SSD into the computer, if it will actually boot off of it. That's going to be the real issue here. So fingers crossed. From what I've seen, I mean, people are running Windows 10 with Q6600s, so I don't think it'll be an issue. And we have plenty of RAM in there. We got 8 gigs. You saw it in the BIOS, so I don't know. Moment of truth. Let's do this. Okay. Oh my God, we got a Windows logon. Okay, I'm so glad that I looked at this RAM. I thought this PC was absolutely dead. Okay, so I only have half the normal amount of system memory in here right now. But what I did was I looked in, and I must have gotten careless when I was putting it all back together after I painted it. But one of the RAM sticks was not all the way seated. It was only clipped in on one side. The other one was hanging out. So maybe with only one of the RAM sticks being only like halfway in, maybe it was causing some kind of, I don't know, short or something, or some kind of memory error which wouldn't allow Windows to boot or something. So I'm so glad that I checked that, because we are now able to get into Windows. Let me log in and make sure that everything is being detected properly real quick. Core 2 Quad Q6600, 2.4 gigahertz, 4 gigs of RAM, 64-bit operating system. Guys, we did it. We're in Windows. Got all the programs that we need installed. Gonna get Steam updated, install a few games, and but just overall, system responsiveness is actually really good. You know, this is a GT 1030 and a Core 2 Quad, and you know, I mean, we're on the desktop, but just running like a 1440p monitor, just playing like this. I mean, there's some hiccups, but overall, it is not a bad experience. I mean, if you still need to use like a Core 2 Quad as like your daily driver, it's still a very capable chip. You know, there's no sluggishness whatsoever here. So, hopefully that translates into some good gameplay, but that has yet to be seen. So, I'll see you when we have everything installed. Alright, so here we are. We're playing some Doom 2016. We're at 720p. Settings are pretty low. But I'm actually just kind of impressed that we're actually being able to run this thing. I mean, this is extremely playable, because you guys got to remember, we're on a processor from like 2007 and a GT 1030, not even a GTX card. It's just a GT 1030 with 2 gigs of VRAM, and you know, we're getting about between, you know, this is about between a 40 and 60 frame experience. I mean, this is really, really good. I'm actually really, really impressed. Wow. Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, this is really nice. This is a very, very competent machine, actually. And I mean, you guys gotta remember, between the graphics card, CPU, and what we just paid for the system, we are well under like $120, $130. And, you know, I'm playing some Doom at, like, you know, very playable FPS. Like, this is kind of crazy, honestly. Now, I don't know how much, like, future-proofing this kind of rig is going to have, but, I mean, if you just want to get some gaming done on the cheap, it's really hard to beat something like this, especially right now. Because, you know, you have all the big brand like graphics cards and CPUs are bought out because of scalpers. You know, the new Ryzen 5000 series, and of course any RTX cards. So it's just a budget build like this. If you just have a few dollars to spend and you want to wait until you can get your actual, you know, real machine going, it's actually kind of a compelling option. I mean, you can definitely get some gaming done on the cheap like this. This is really, really good. All right. Here we're playing some CSGO. We're about at 30 frames right now. Honestly, for a competitive shooter, this is probably not a very playable experience. I think this might just be because Doom has that Vulkan, and that just helps make it run a lot better than CSGO, but good lord. Yeah, we're at 720p, everything's low. You know, anti-aliasing is off. Everything's it's very choppy, and oh my god, it's yeah, I would not want to play with this at all. Ugh. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, for just playing with bots, I mean, that's not like the worst thing in the world, but oof. Yeah, this is a lot more rough. So this might be more for, say, like Rocket League. I don't have Rocket League, but that would probably be more something that is this machine's kind of speed, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, I'm getting some kills, so you might be able to adjust to this, but overall, for what you would probably need to play a competitive shooter like this, I'd say this is probably not what you're looking for. Just as kind of a final test, I just kind of wanted to see what this machine could do in terms of like content consumption. And I'm actually kind of impressed because this is a full HD 1080p 60 video clip on YouTube. And yeah, there's nothing, no stutters at all. We're not dropping frames at all, no buffering. So actually really, really good. Just as a little, you know, content consumption machine. So yeah. You know, all told, I'm actually very, very impressed with how this thing's been performing. And there you have it. We put the machine through its paces, and I'd say it performed pretty good. I mean, you gotta remember, we're talking about a processor over a decade old, almost 15 years old, actually. And, you know, we can play modern-ish games reasonably well. I didn't even have time to test out things like emulators or lower-end games like Stardew Valley, but, you know, if you want to run some of these lower-end titles, Rocket League, if you want to run some of these lower-end titles and just get some gaming done on the cheap, this looks like a pretty compelling solution. You know, this is a Core 2 quad with DDR2 memory, so it might be worth your time to look at some, you know, maybe some older i3 or i5 systems online. Maybe spend just a few more dollars because, you know, something like this, it's starting to show its age a little bit. So, but it's, I mean, it's still a pretty decent performer for what it is, you know. So yeah, I mean, new coat of paint, new processor, add in a GT 1030, and we're kind of off to the races here. So yeah, I mean, we're not expecting, you know, modern games at 4K or anything like that, but just to get some gaming done, watch some YouTube. Pretty good little box that we have put together here. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Let me know if you've done anything similar to this, or you have any you know, advice or similar builds or whatever. And yeah, I think that's going to be about it. Very happy with how this turned out. It was a fun project. I enjoyed painting it. I enjoyed testing the games out, and I enjoyed making the video for y'all. So thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.